And ladies and gentlemen, we are live. Woo! It's Friday. You guys know what that means. I'm missing all my hair. See, that's exactly what that means, is it's shave your head, whatever. My name is Travis, of course. Everybody, welcome to the NPCs Weekly News Roundup. It is July 24th, 2020. Can't believe we're already almost like 2/3 of the way through the summer. But of course, I'm Travis, and as always, via Discord because of the global pandemic, Kyle is with me. Kyle, hello.
What's up?
Guys, lots of stuff on the news docket for tonight. Not only do we have all of the announcements to talk about with the first party Series X games coming out to the Xbox, we've also got a surprise announcement of something especially very nostalgic for, I guess I'd say probably our childhoods, at least through high school, at least for Kyle and I, coming up. That was just announced today. We've got a spiritual successor for Jet Set Radio that was announced as well, too. And then, of course, the Army is in some hot water. So we're going to roll that intro and we're going to get things started. All right, let me flip over here to Chrome, and we are on to our first story of the evening. And this one's from Tech Radar. I think they were actually the best one I could find for a good summary of all the games that were announced. But Microsoft had their games showcase just yesterday, and they showed off all first-party exclusives. So we're talking Halo, of course, was the really big one that everybody was looking forward to, but there were quite a few others that popped up. And Kyle, I at least know from your part, dude, you, based on the chat I was reading there, you were definitely not too impressed with what you were seeing.
Yeah, I was, I don't know, I was a little sore. I was promised some gameplay, and the only gameplay was the gameplay that I kept saying every broadcast now that they've got a show. That was the only thing we saw, was the Halo. So, well, I mean,
Yeah.
we saw a little bit more, but as far as extensive gameplay, that's all we saw.
Yeah, and
So,
I got to be perfectly honest. I think that was kind of the big one they needed to do, but I agree they needed to do more. But I don't think I'm as sour as you are. But we can
yeah.
talk more about that as we start talking about the games, of course, that they actually showed
Yeah,
off.
we'll get into it when we get there, so.
Mm-hmm. All right, so I forgot that I had Origin open here, so I have all that going in the background. Let's quit that so I don't have any more background noises. I updated Apex Legends, because I'm going to try to play some of that here later. So first game, of course, on the list is Echo Generation. Kyle, you're going to have to help me out because of course, you know, being a pandemic anyway and work from home stuff, I'm in the midst of working at the same time as this kicks off. So it took me until about the Forza Horizon trailer to actually tune in and see what's going on. So I missed the Halo stuff all the way through. But Kyle, maybe you can talk to me because I'm sure you caught most of this. What's up with Echo Generation?
I think this is one that I kind of only saw part of, so I'm kind of I'm kind of scrubbing the video as we speak. What I did, I caught the tail end of this, and I don't know, it seemed pretty unique as far as the art style goes.
Okay.
I don't know, I I don't know what to say about it. Obviously, it looks to be an RPG, card driven. I get Stranger Things vibes from it.
Yeah, and the article even
Uh,
says the same thing here too.
oh, do they?
Yeah, which honestly I agree with. I see some Stranger Things stuff with it too. You know, getting that kind of description, it's got a lot of that look. Like honestly, it looks like I'm looking at Dustin from Stranger Things there. And then now, of course, I'm seeing what looks like
Right.
something Metal Gear related, which is Dustin really Snake in disguise? Who knows? I guess it looks pretty cool. I like the pixelized stylizing of the graphics, though. You know, it's not like a pixelization that we see with, you know, like with Minecraft as an example. Is that it's more akin to that Dragon Quest Builders game. Is the way I see it. It actually looks kind of like the same type of blockiness that game is, and I like that. I can actually appreciate that in a game.
Right.
Definitely very different there. Next one up, of course, here on their list was Exo Mecha, and their description was a free-to-play online competitive first-person shooter. So, yay, some more free-to-play stuff. It's not an exclusive for Series X, but it's a uh, on Xbox One, Xbox Series X, and PC. So it's definitely all over the place. Which
I don't know. This one I got heavy Crisis and Halo vibes from until they started showing like the actual mechas and like the giant dinosaur breathing fire that's like mecha, and I was like, wow, like Transformers, like Dinobots, like I was getting 90s vibes all of a sudden. But it looks cool. I like the Crisis vibe I get from it.
yeah, seeing that, I'm very much seeing that. It's like honestly looking at it, I feel like I'm looking at if Crisis and the more recent Transformers movies came together and made a game. I agree that definitely has the Crisis vibes, but the way those dinosaurs looked reminded me of Grimlock for the more recent Transformers movies, which is kind of cool. That's actually pretty neat to see.
Right, right.
Yeah, and then we got State of Decay 3 that was also announced too. A sequel, of course, to State of Decay 2. Uh talks, it looks like it's just more of a cinematic trailer than anything that they actually talked about here. But anything new that we could glean from the trailer though that you saw, Kyle, for State of Decay? Or is it basically the same game?
Not a ton. I saw State of Decay 3 show up, and I don't know. To me, that's like, okay, cool. I mean, it looks really pretty. I didn't glean too much from the trailer. I mean, obviously it's a cinematic trailer,
Mm-hmm.
for the most part, but I don't know. Good announcement. I know it's got a big following, so.
Okay. Very
The
interesting.
next one, I thought was a bit odd with the Forza Motorsport, just cutting the numbers off and cutting the titles off.
Well, if you really think about it, that's kind of become the norm now. That's this is where I tuned in actually was just at this point here. But that's not really a surprise that they've cut away the numbers of these games too, because I think what you're going to start seeing is more like the releases of episodic titles that just keep the base level names. So instead of being Forza Motorsport 1, 2, 3, and so on, I think it's just going to be Forza Motorsport and then yeah, whatever episodic needs to be, with it. Whether it's changes to the cars, changes to something else underneath, or what. But I figured that was interesting
Do
as
you
well
think that
too.
means we're just going to see people paying for updates, so the core game is always available to play type thing? Since
Hmm.
Xbox seems to be leaning into this, gaming community, you can game across all the different Xboxes, whether they have, a 360, an Xbox One, or the Series X.
Yeah, I think so. And I honestly think that, I don't think it's anything against Microsoft. I definitely think Sony had a stronger showing in what they've been pushing so far. But to be perfectly honest, I think we're at the end of the console wars now. I think we're at the end of what consoles are really capable of doing, at least in respect to being like different to each other. Because you think like, Sony really upended a lot of stuff when the PlayStation 2 had a built-in DVD player, and it means that everyone could have a DVD player in their house. They did the same thing with the PlayStation 3 when you have a Blu-ray player in your house. Microsoft and some of the voice functionality that was built in with the Kinect, of course, to turn on your Xbox, to change games around, do anything like that. you know PlayStation, I guess, being the console with the first like actual plug-in VR headset that gave you a true VR experience. And I'm not talking going back to like the Virtual Boy that Nintendo had. I'm talking specifically that. I think we're at the end of the console generation. I think that's why you're seeing them release games like this now. I think that's why we're now at the end of console wars. And I think everything going forward is just going to be strictly a PC more than anything. And I think they're just going to start dumping titles, at least, or
I
removing the episodic parts of it.
I don't know that necessarily. Like I do see that in the sense, with the third party games, but um especially with games that are going to be first party for Xbox, because there are going to be games that, at least for a while, or you know for the foreseeable future and forever, could be just Xbox titles. We've
Hmm.
got at least one or two of those coming up. And of course, Forza would always be an Xbox title.
Yeah.
It's going to be forever the major competitor of Gran Turismo. Um, but I think with those, they're trying to make it more accessible to anyone who owns the console.
That's
Not
I think that's maybe where it could come down to it anyway, is that it's
not just cross-platform play, but I think that's what they're trying to lean into,
that makes
with
sense.
them cutting away the year subscription at the 6 month subscription or restructure for, or at least for potential restructure. And
Hmm.
I did see articles that said that that's kind of what's going on, is we're probably going to see a restructure of the membership system entirely for the Xbox Series X, um,
Yeah.
because they just want everyone to be able to play together. So if someone does go out and buy a copy of Forza, or has all this content and their friend doesn't have it, but they've got an Xbox, at least they can download the game, because they've already got the gold membership. They can download the game for
Hmm.
free now and just play it.
No, and that makes a lot of good sense. I guess like, you're on. I think you're on track with that one. I was probably way off on it. I think most of it is that it's just you look at what's inside the consoles now anyway, and other than their little fundamental tweaks, to kind of up the ante on either side, and then of course the software underneath. In reality, they're the same thing, and that's
Yeah.
just what you're going to get anyway. So that's part of it for me. But I guess that does make more sense. But I think maybe Microsoft might go more of the route of the actual like in-home game server stuff with like the
Mhm.
Series X than anything, because of course we saw with Project X Cloud there was game streaming from the cloud, of course, from their servers using their hardware. And then, of course, the other part of it was the actual streaming directly from the Xbox One. That's, I think, still going to be a lot more of the emphasizing part for them to set them apart from
Oh yeah.
Sony. And I think we're going to see more of it, especially if a Series S does get announced this next month. But let's carry on here in the rest of the game announcements. We've got Tell Me Why. Of course, now we're right into where I was actually like able to tune in and take a look at stuff. So Tell Me Why, of course, is from the developers of Life is Strange. So this kind of comes across exactly as a Life is Strange game. It's a lot of storytelling, a lot of the drama that goes around it. Talking about, kind of this relationship between a brother and sister in here after some sort of issue with them being kept apart as kids. And you start to see a little bit of kind of like the pseudo butterfly effect type stuff happening here in this game though too, and some interesting stuff that also relates to like bringing memories back up as well. At least in the trailer they showed off some of that as well. They showed off more so kind of like these weird apparitions of memories in that, but it could just be more of like trying to convey an emotion in a character further other than them just freaking out. But it's definitely a story game, just some drama to bring it in. It's not going to really be a story game that's going to be as consequential or as long and drawn out as something like Halo or Godfall or whatever. So uh, I don't know. I mean, I didn't play any of the Life is Strange games, but I get it. What do you think, Kyle? Is this one you're going to pick up and just sit back and
I
cry over?
like the see, I haven't played Life is Strange 2, and I haven't finished Life is Strange, the prequel to Life is Strange that came out after.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's Before the Storm or something like that, and it's mostly about Chloe. Um that I really enjoyed those ones. They were really neat. This one, I don't know, it reminded me of another game that I saw a trailer for. I think it was on the Summer Games Fest just like a couple days ago, or a couple days prior to the show, for a game that you were basically a hitchhiker and you have to put together the story of who you are
Mm-hmm.
by listening to the stories of other people. And it's and I think I even mentioned, uh, with this one is everyone just doing games about driving in cars everywhere, or something like that in the chat, because I saw that trailer for the Hitchhiker, and I mentioned that to my brother, and he was like, "Well, I think it's the progression of the walking simulator," and I kind of actually got that vibe from this one. Like there's going to be that sense that you are going to be able to change things,
Okay.
possibly, but I don't know about this one. I think I need to see more videos Uh, it did pique my interest, but I'm not sure in which direction, if it turned me sour or not.
Okay. Okay. I'm not going to play the trailer here from this one on the webpage, but of course, we had Ori and the Will of the Wisps announced, of course, that it's optimized for Xbox Series X, where it's going to have a refresh rate of up to 120 hertz in 4K HDR. So uh, basically, that means you're going to end up needing to buy a new 4K TV to even reach the 120 hertz right now, which is not one you're going to buy
Hmm.
off the shelf at Walmart. I think most 4K TVs you can buy off the shelf there, for like less than $1,000 are, I think, about 60 hertz at most. So you're not going to be finding too much in that part. But anyway, that's at least something there if you have the money to go afford a TV to do that. Next up, of course, though, too, we also have Obsidian announcing Avowed as well. So Avowed has the looks of I described it almost like with some of the power type stuff they were showing off in there. It kind of gave me those weird Doctor Strange vibes when he's, casting something and he's got the ring going around his hand and such. There's that meets, Elder Scrolls. So
Yeah, in our chat,
um,
I just immediately, when it popped up during the feed, I remember typing hashtag Skyrim. But it looks so much better. It really does. I shouldn't
right.
have judged so much. I've gone back and watched the trailer. Um, Aside from watching it again right now, and the powers look really cool. Like the way they actually, like, I don't know, just make the purple flame like look, and I don't know. It's
Mm-hmm.
something that obviously Bethesda could never do with their current engine that they've used for God knows
Yeah. Oh
how
my
long
God.
now.
Yeah. And maybe this will fill a gap for people, at least until Elder Scrolls 6 comes out as well. Because if this
Well, and I
this
think
can
that's
fill
another
that.
funny thing is, they got burned with New Vegas, and I really like New Vegas out of the series.
Yes, that's my
Um,
top one.
yeah. Um, it, they got burned with that. They came back and they outdid Bethesda with Outer Worlds,
Mm-hmm.
and now it's like they're just gonna shove it in their face because this is gonna launch before uh what the planned launch for Elder Scrolls is. So
Mm-hmm.
there's that.
Yeah, they didn't give an actual date on when it was going to drop anyway, but if it drops
But I
before
would assume,
6,
especially with Elder Scrolls being in such a weird limbo,
yeah, like we got the little like teaser trailer that said 6 was in development and then there's been nothing else. So, I'm sure that's probably pushed out. I bet you 2022 is when it'll release. Probably bet another year and a half or so of
I
time.
wonder if this will make Bethesda rework their engine, though.
Maybe. I guess, I mean, if
I don't
Avowed
know.
definitely comes out first, then it could be the push there that says, okay, well, our tried and true formula is not working out, so let's give it an oomph. But
But even
uh,
continuing on with Obsidian,
uh,
we got some more content for Outer Worlds.
we did. I was actually surprised that
So,
we'd been seeing anything, but I didn't expect to actually see anything for Outer Worlds in the announcements.
and the cool thing is, it's coming out September 9th, so you don't even have to wait that long.
No, no, that's cool that at least this is already going to be out here soon because this game dropped what, November, December of this last year?
Uh, was it that short a time ago?
Yeah, it hasn't been long.
Wow, it feels like it's been longer than that.
At least I think that's how long it's been. But you think that means that they did a full turnaround on DLC for 10 months. So I guess the question is going to be is how long will this go on for? Like how long is the actual DLC? And
It
did
was
they
October, actually.
was it October? Wow. Okay, so we
Yeah,
almost
so
got a full year.
almost been a year. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's interesting though to see that, we've got a full year and then DLC finally came out. I haven't heard many people talking about this game since it dropped anyway. But as soon as I saw it, of course, it clicked in my head. I was like, wait, is this something Fallout related? And then, of course, I messed myself up. It's like, oh, yeah, that's right, Outer Worlds. So, yeah, so we got Outer Worlds Peril on Gorgon coming out here
More,
in September 9th. So,
yeah, more fun time screwing with the retarded NPCs.
mm hmm.
And it's not because they're poorly programmed, it's just because you can really screw with them.
Absolutely. You are not wrong. So the next one here we have on the list is As Dusk Falls. I don't remember this one actually. The description here in the on the article says this curious and gorgeously animated announcement shows off a game called As Dusk Falls, spanning 30 years in the American Southwest. This interactive drama looks set to pull on some heartstrings and grapple with some strained family dynamics, including a bank robbery. So this is not that car one you were kind of like talking about, was it?
Maybe this is the car one.
Because
See, I've had such a problem with the show that it traumatized me that I just couldn't remember which game was which at this point.
no, that's understood. What the hell am I hearing here from my kids right now? Maybe nothing. Maybe I'm just going crazy. Shaving all the hair off did that.
Yeah,
into me,
so
but
I did have it wrong. This is the one that I was thinking.
this is the one you think that okay.
Yeah,
So
when I was talking about the other one.
so it's this interactive drama in this art style then where it's the mix of 3D and then these I wouldn't call it, this is not cell shaded, that's the wrong word, but these kind of like 2D kind of spun into 3D little like portraits in that with the 3D all there. Is this what we're expecting the game to actually look like, or is this more set as like just the trailer then?
Well, it's the official trailer, so
Okay.
I'm not entirely certain.
Because that
I've
animation
seen
style is
games
so
like that.
interesting.
Yeah, it's almost like a stop motion or something.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. I think that's actually going to be kind of neat to play, especially if it is like maybe they call it an interactive drama. I hope it's kind of a choose your adventure interactive drama type where you pick and something else changes. Of course, we also have the Psychonauts 2 announcement as well, and it's going to I don't think we actually got a date for it, but one of the things, of course, they feature in this trailer was Jack Black. So because for some reason, let's add Jack Black to Psychonauts 2.
Well, maybe they think if they tied Jack Black to it, it'll have to come out because Brutal Legend was in like this weird limbo hiatus for how many years, and then Jack Black actually came forward and did more with the project, and then all of a sudden it came out.
Cool. No, I guess
So
that's understandable.
maybe I don't know. It's just a theory.
Yeah. I mean, I
But
from what I understand is that Tim Schafer and Jack Black are actually really close friends anyway, so this might have just been a hey, I can do this. If Jack Black would actually go and publish a game video on his YouTube channel, then he wouldn't be needing to do stuff like this, but here we are.
yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, and maybe it's the hype that they need to finish the game. I know it's one that's been announced and then kind of went back in the shadows, and then people were like, "Hey, it's coming out!" Remember?
Well, what was the game that Tim
So
Schafer had on Kickstarter that it made all that money, the game did release. What was that game that he had dropped there? Like I'm trying to remember the name of it. But I think that game itself is what led into Psychonauts 2 actually pushing forward. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's really what I think actually happened if I remember kind of hearing things right.
yeah, I'm looking up. I'm trying to look up games that he's
Yeah.
worked on.
Because I'm trying to remember what the actual
It couldn't have
name
been
of
Broken Age 2, was it?
No, it wasn't a sequel game or anything. It was something else. Let's see.
No, it's just called Broken Age. That came out in 2014.
Let's see. Yeah, Broken Age was the name of the game. So, yeah, so it was Broken Age. And I guess maybe that one did okay enough for them to be able to actually work on this, or they had some other investment going. Anyway, regardless, we got a Psychonauts 2 after all these years. It's dropping on the Xbox. I don't think because was the original Psychonauts an Xbox exclusive? I don't think so. I think it was PC, wasn't it?
I don't remember. I know it came out on PC later.
Yeah, let's see. It was a release from Double Fine, released in 2005, was for Windows, Xbox, and PS2.
So
But
it was on PS2.
yeah, but it looks like it was specifically for Windows and Xbox. It looks like they had to bring in another company to help with the port to PlayStation. So, yeah, very interesting. So that one's coming. We've also got Stalker 2 that was announced as well. Kyle, I have a strange feeling that this one has actually got you all kinds of excited as well, because I think we've talked about Stalker quite a bit. Yeah.
I remember saying some lewd things during the stream.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
About this when the trailer popped up. And then immediately after I was done watching everything in the post show and everything, I installed the first Stalker again.
Get yourself prepared for that next one. Yeah. So because this is a exclusive then for the Xbox and PC, are you going to, because I know we're talking about you building a gaming rig in that here at some point, are you actually going to just get it for PC so you don't have to, go out for an Xbox to do it? Because again, like we talked, you're not really feeling the Xbox, at least initially. You're more towards the PS5 now, but I'm guessing you're going to get this at least on PC.
Well, I prefer playing my first-person shooters on PC anyway.
Okay.
So, I'll definitely be playing this one on PC.
Okay. Well, it definitely looks like a Stalker game for sure. Definitely a little prettier than the previous ones had been anyway, but that's expected with console gen stuff.
Yeah, obviously you don't have those weird, like, I don't know, trapezoid, like, I don't know, octagon shaped arm thing going on.
Oh yes, the days of old when those graphics were the best at the time too.
Yeah, and the guns don't look like sticks. So,
and then of course we had an announcement for Warhammer 40,000 Darktide. It's a Warhammer game, of course, set in the 40,000 part of the timeline. But of course, when I saw this trailer here, I wasn't gonna pick Warhammer. I watched the Giant Bomb stream because I like listening to their commentary. They they picked it right out of the gate. They said it was going to be a Warhammer game, but I don't know. I look at it and I thought more of a I thought like Gears for a second. Like I thought like kind of like the actual like continuation, like true push ahead of Gears instead of just fighting the Locust. It's like, okay, are we going to actually get a evolution of it? And then that's when the logo came up that I saw, the Fat Shark and then the Hammerhead. I was like,
that's because you and I haven't played Vermintide. If we had, we would know that this was definitely a Warhammer game, even from the like opening shots, apparently.
Right.
So.
Yeah, exactly. Very okay. But yeah, we got Warhammer 40,000 coming out. And of course, one of the interesting ones that was announced too was Tetris Effect is coming to the Xbox now. So apparently it was a timed exclusive specifically for the PlayStation 4. But
we played this on a stream, actually.
Yes, we do. We have a VOD of it somewhere, I think probably on Facebook. But yeah, we played this and, I saw everybody going for their controllers and putting stuff together like they were going to play something together. And I thought collab. And first I thought, are they going to bring Tetris 99 to the Xbox and PC, for the Tetris Battle Royale? But then... of course, yeah, they surprised us because you actually listen to the music and it's like, yep, that's Tetris Effect. But the only thing, of course, is there's no VR support for anything VR on the Xbox.
But it's getting multiplayer support that it didn't have.
True, which makes this definitely more of a game that we can actually play together, which is really cool.
Yeah.
But again, I found that interesting.
Got some really cool modes too. It looked like there was like a combined mode that might be interesting to play. So.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Agreed.
It's kind of odd to see it coming, but especially being so late. But neat.
Yeah, I think that's going to be really cool to actually see. Of course, one of the bigger shocks, though, too, that a lot of people thought wasn't going to happen was a Fable announcement. But yeah, so Fable's coming back. We haven't seen a Fable since Fable. It wasn't Fable Legends, because that was the canceled one. What was the one before?
Yeah, that got canned.
What was the last one that came out? It wasn't. Let's see, because there was Fable, Fable 2, Fable 3, and then there was another one that came out. Fable something.
I'm looking it up right now.
Yeah, me too. Let's see.
There was Fable Journey. That was the Connect game.
That was the last one,
Um,
I think.
there was Fable Fortune. That was in 2017.
Mm-hmm.
And there was also Fable Heroes, which was like a party game, but it was like with little weird looking, I don't know, Duplo block looking
Mm-hmm.
characters.
Yep. Huh. Yeah, now you're jogging my memory. Okay. Yeah, that sounds right. Okay, moving on, of course, we've got the Gunk that was announced. And of course, I heard a lot of laughing about this one from the Giant Bomb guys, because this one is sort of like a spacefaring kind of traveling around game. You know, when you hear the radio, of course, with people talking from a spaceship down to a planet, I got to tell you, it sounded like Halo for a second. It sounded
See, and
like.
I thought it,
Uh,
I thought it looked and sounded exactly like Journey to Savage Planet.
I was getting some of those vibes as well too, based on some of the cartoonier bits. I'm like, maybe it's also a change, but yeah, this one looks to be like an exploration, and then whatever this oil sticky black gunk stuff here, like you can see in the video now, whatever this is, it's some type of energy source or something, because you can actually see the character here, the title character, this collecting it, and whether or not it's just to be there as an element to block off your ability to move around, whether it's something that you actually need to use to do things in the game itself too. Yeah, it's all obviously not saying anything in the trailer anyway, but it's
I don't know.
very
It'll be interesting to see
neat.
though. Yeah, because it's done by the creators of the Steam World games, and if I'm not mistaken, those are all 2D, right?
Yes, yeah, those SteamWorld
So
games are all 2D.
this is like I think their first big 3D venture. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe we just haven't seen enough of it. It was a really short trailer. Um, yeah.
Yep.
Hopefully closer to launch.
We'll get some more, yeah. We've also got Rare dropping a new title on us. The title's Everwild. This one has, in my mind, some look more like a Miyazaki type. Like if a Miyazaki game or a Miyazaki film kind of came to life a little bit. I'm not talking like Ni no Kuni, which actually was definitely like, the true Miyazaki style in that. But like if you were to really, truly go full 3D, I could see some of the fantasy stuff out of a Miyazaki movie in this game. It just really has that vibe to it. And I gotta say, it's gorgeous. I don't know what these
Yeah.
creatures are. I don't know what is truly going on. Nothing's actually been said other than a lot of magic stuff, a lot of giant weird creatures, of course, too. It's very neat. But one interesting thing, of course, I like though too, and when you're really looking at like how far graphics have come along, is like look at the hair and fluid dynamics, of course, in a game as well too, like how the actual player models or character models interact with those, and see how they kind of move around. It's similar to the way like Disney had that huge upgrade in their animation style, of course, than the throwing up thing that threw up frog, fish stuff, whatever that is. You look at the way Disney kind of went in their evolution of their 3D animation when they introduced the snow effects for Frozen. This kind of has that same feeling to it. Like this is a really neat like step up in those types of textures. And I think seeing it on the Series X, especially if there's ray tracing in this game, that's going to be some really neat, really cool looking stuff. But this game I'm actually excited for. I don't really know much about it, but this is something that like has piqued my interest.
Yeah, and this is one I really wish they would have shown, some like a good solid like 2 minutes or 3 minutes of gameplay for, because the art direction and the art style has my interest peaked like crazy. Like
Mm-hmm.
I really, really love it. I'm a huge anime fan, and I just love cartoons,
Mm-hmm.
and seeing something with a really unique animation style like this, I really, really think it's cool. So
Yeah. So I'm going to kind of scroll through a couple of these other games here so we can move on because we've got these other stories to get to. Of course, we got new Genesis Phantasy Star Online 2 announced as well. We've already got Phantasy Star Online going on the Xbox and PC, but of course, this is the evolution to that going up to the Series X. We've got Crossfire X as well too, which this was announced back in 2019, but it's definitely an FPS game though. Anyway, in and out. I'm just gonna kind of scroll through some of
coming
this.
to us from Remedy, so.
So it should actually be put together pretty well. Of course, a couple of the other things here. Just trying to see if there's anything else that was shown off that we need to really talk about too. Trying to remember. A couple things are kind of talked off to the side as well, though. Destiny 2, of course, in 4K. Hooray. Dying Light 2. Let's see. Some more Far Cry 6 stuff anyway. Gears 5 is getting an optimization. Grand Theft Auto 5, it sounds like it's also getting the same level, or is possibly getting the same level of enhancement too. And then, of course, I'll come back around. I'm just kind of scrolling through this. There's really like a lot of stuff here, and I don't think we have the time to actually talk about it. Most of it was just kind of like I think Tech Radar kind of piecing together exactly what was going to be sorted out, and actually is this going to get the same level of high quality improvement like what was shown off in Sony's demo for some of those games though too, like the Grand Theft Auto 5 getting the enhancements and such. But anyway, of course, the title one for all of this stuff was the Halo Infinite gameplay premiere. So this one we'll spend a little bit of time talking about here. But Kyle, I need to know right off the bat, because I might have a differing opinion. What did you think of the Infinite gameplay?
So, first impression, I was like, well, I know it's Halo. Even when it started, I knew it was Halo.
Right.
And when the CGI video started. So, and then when the actual gameplay started, I was like, oh, okay, cool. We're gonna get to see at least a portion of the demo, or maybe even the whole demo if they're feeling a bit squirrely. I don't know, but I don't know. It looked a lot like the first Halo game. Of course, I know that it's not going to be, because it looks like this other character is some sort of maybe even a temporary ragtag companion that Chief would have. So maybe it's a reimagining, but it does look very reminiscent of the first Halo that you're on, as far as design.
True.
I did like the way it looked when they opened the map, because it looked to be maybe it's going to be an open world game.
That's the rumor going on right now. And then if you actually notice in the map though too, I'm trying to scrabble through to actually get to some of the gameplay stuff. But if you actually notice though too, when they opened up the map, it looks like they actually rated difficulty on the different, it looks like they have to take down anti-aircraft towers in this gameplay. But if you actually look closer, as they highlight over the towers, there's different levels of difficulty that look like they appear over the top, which in the standard default setups, of course, for Halo is you've got the shield with the single sword across for normal. You got the two swords across the shield for normal difficulty, and then you've got your legendary difficulty, your highest tier difficulty, with the elite skull across the top of the two swords on the shield. So it looks like that might also be the same thing as well. In the trailer itself, it only showed just those individual levels of difficulty, at least on the normal level. But it makes me wonder is, as you go around, are you actually going to see, different difficulties as you go through? So instead of selecting how you want to play the game, you're basically forced to say, okay, you have to take on something that's legendary rated. Which in my mind, I think would be kind of neat to get you out of that shell and get you exploring this game a little bit more. But one thing though,
well, it also brings the question, if they've got these ratings, could those ratings possibly change depending on skills you might pick up if they're doing an open world thing, if they're gonna do maybe an RPG thing with it as well. And I'm not saying it's a good or bad idea, or if they're going to or not going to. This is all speculative, of course. So
right, and a couple things that are interesting though is one person found out. I was reading this. It was someone from the group Funhouse who does they're the part of the Rooster Teeth family. They actually found out that the brutes can grab the suicide grunts and throw them at you. So as they have grenades in their
That
hand,
is
they can
really
actually
cool.
throw them at you, and that makes that even more terrifying because you know when they're coming up, but you
Yeah.
don't know when they're going to be thrown at you. And then even in here in the trailer too, if you noticed, or in the gameplay trailer, it actually showed the brutes coming down in what looked like ODST drop pods, which was, in my mind, it was like, that's interesting. But anyway, it's a Halo game to me. I think it actually looks pretty good. It's what
It
I'm
is.
going to play, but
And I've heard a lot of people say that it looks unpolished, and I don't know about that. Um,
yeah,
you
I don't know where
also
that
got to
came from.
figure the stream. It was a stream, so we aren't getting the highest fidelity that we're necessarily going to see out of an end product. Um,
Right. But if you
but also, it is a work in progress, and I thought it looked fine.
I think it looks
Um,
good. The
it
grappling hook
definitely
though.
looks like a step up. Maybe I I I don't know. Maybe a step back from refinement, like an intentional step back. You know what I mean?
Maybe they're trying to kind of like throw back to more of the old Halo 1 days, and that too by kind of leaning
Yeah.
on a lot more of that instead of the weird enhancements that they made in Halo 4 and 5 to, Master Chief
Yeah,
and that.
where everything doesn't need to be high metallic guns. Chief's armor doesn't need to look like it's friggin' brand new when he's been through God knows how many battles.
True. And then the other part as well, like I was saying, they've added a grappling hook, which throws more like Doom Eternal vibes than anything for me.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But I
But I mean,
think
even with a grappling
it's
hook,
hmm
it's still Halo.
agreed. Yeah,
I mean,
I don't feel any different on that.
that could just be another kit from Reach. That could have been another kit from Reach.
No, I agree. That very well could have been. I you know, I don't feel anything against this anyway. I think people are definitely, like you said, I think people were definitely very nitpicky with it just because it's like, oh, the quality looks terrible. It's like, no, it was a stream.
Yeah.
You're not
Yeah.
going to be watching this stream in 4K because nobody's streaming in 4K like that. So you're better
And
off
I think
without it.
people are going to be critical
Yeah,
because
I
it's
think it'll be fine.
Halo. And also they're probably going to be more critical because of the way I feel, that they didn't show enough gameplay, so they have one piece of gameplay to nitpick at. I have the gripe that they only had, that piece of gameplay as far as, good chunks of gameplay.
Mm-hmm.
Um and I realize, the whole fidelity thing. And like I said, I think it looked fine. I think it looked pretty good, actually. So,
I'm as as one of those, of course, anyway, who has played every Halo game now anyway. I know it took me forever to get through 5. It took me forever to actually even touch 5 in the first place, but Game Pass helped with that. uh I don't see any problems with this one, and this one actually lures me in even more than Halo 4 and 5 did, because like we just talked about, the shininess of the game, the over emphasizing, of course, on these newer characters anyway, though, too. And it just,
it's like everything just got too
yeah,
oversaturated with color and too
yeah,
overglossed. You had to put bloom effect on everything and make
yeah,
everything super shiny. And
everything had to
even
have
at
a
the end of
bright
the game,
orange.
yeah, and even at the end of the game, it, Chief's armor looked brand new because of the graphics being all shiny and reflective and
Yeah,
stupid like that.
agreed.
They didn't take into account things like, you know, you you take one dive in the dirt to like slide,
Hmm.
or you even to crouch, you're gonna start getting dirty.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm hoping that, of course, with the enhancements, with the Series X, of course, being as powerful as it's supposed to be, we'll have a lot more of that battle damage that carries with you. Maybe we'll have a lot more of the scuffing, the dirt, the grime, and that too. Like, it'd be neat that if you damage Master Chief's helmet in a way that his visor's cracked, that would carry with you too. Like, truly make it seem like this is someone in combat. That armor wouldn't look that good going through as
I
much
will
shit as
say
he goes
this
through.
though, too, with it being with me saying that I think it looks like a step back
Mm-hmm.
to maybe more of an original Halo or a retake on Halo.
Mm-hmm.
I think it needed it. It got off the rails. The whole
Yeah, it
Lot
did.
story and the end of 4 leading into 5 and just pretty much everything with 5. And even when I finished 5, I was watching the ending credits and I just sitting there with my mouth open. I'm like, huh. And I
Yeah, and that's
ejected the disc and I took it in, traded it in. And when I got my money, I looked down at my money and I was like, huh.
no kidding.
Well, that was that.
Yeah,
That was a Halo game, I guess.
yeah.
It just got off the rails.
Agreed. So we got a comment here from Alex. Of course, he says, "Always a hoot when a numerical sequel comes out. After however many non-numerical sequels, continuity can be a bitch." And he censored his own words here, of course, but he's not wrong. It can be, because you look at what happened when they announced the Xbox 360, the Xbox One, the Xbox One S, the Xbox One X, the Xbox Series X, the Xbox Series. I'm games are going to be the exact same way too. And so I agree, but this might be the way to actually tamp all of that down. That maybe going forward for even on the console side would just be Xbox Series whatever, and then the games themselves will just, instead of being numeric ones, it'll be just straight up blah, whatever it is. But
Yeah.
but anyway, that's it really from the Xbox stuff. A couple other things that were talked about really is it's so they had stopped selling year-long Xbox Live Gold subscriptions, so that's gone. It sounds like all of that's going to be rolling into some sort of larger Game Pass Ultimate bundle, like it already kind of exists now. So if anybody was trying to buy a year, of course, it's not possible anymore. You can still buy the 1 month and 3 month options, but I know that was something that was talked about as well. But let's carry on here through the rest of our stuff. And this one is, I think this one, of course, was from today, though, too. And this actually blew my mind when I got the announcement for this, of course, through Twitter. So this morning at about 11 a.m., Attack of the Show and XPlay's Twitter accounts both put up this video, kind of going through some of the nostalgic stuff of what G4 was. And so for a lot of people who don't know what G4 is, G4 was a tech and gaming and geek and pop culture channel on pay TV that really existed before a lot of these other groups came out and such too. You know, this is like pre-Philip DeFranco. This is pre-Linus Tech Tips, any of that. But they went off the air in 2014. And what we're seeing here in the video right now, of course, is they started their channel with this old Pong match. And then, of course, they ended the channel with it, though, too. So G4 is coming back supposedly in 2021. And we don't know anything else about that. Other than, of course, through today, what I was seeing was all of the big hosts, of course, we saw for G4 stuff. Kyle, I don't know how much you really looked at this after, of course, I told you guys about that, but it's but Olivia Munn and Kevin Pereira were pictured talking together, of course, in a tweet from, I guess, a couple months ago. Blair Herder was doing some tweeting as well, too. Adam Sessler, of course, Adam Sessler's the host of XPlay alongside Morgan Webb. He was like, oh, this is interesting. Allison Hayslip said something, too. So did, what's her name? Sarah Underwood also said some stuff, too. It's just, you've got a lot of these people who, for a lot of us, especially because you're talking, this is in the early days of YouTube, you're talking about where we went for our news, for our gaming news and things. You know, if we weren't picking up a magazine off the shelf at the grocery store from whoever was out at that point in time, Game Pro, Nintendo Power, Electronic Gaming Monthly, any of those, this was our source for news. And then, of course, as YouTube got to be more popular and G4 really didn't know what they wanted to do with themselves either, G4 kind of went to the wayside to the point that they went the wrong way about trying to bring people back. They made themselves more like Spike TV than they did about the games. So you'd have some of the shows still that were related to gaming, Attack of the Show and XPlay, but a lot of the other stuff went away in favor of Cops and some other stuff too. So
Yeah, you still
it's
had,
just,
like even still, some of the old ones hung on like cheat.
Mm-hmm.
That was literally about video game cheats, but I don't know how that would function now unless you're talking about hacking games, and then you're talking
Right.
about people getting banned.
Right. So what I
um,
think what I think's going to happen though, Kyle, is a couple different things. Is one, if this goes out to pay TV again, that's going to be kind of neat, but I don't know if the demographics are all the way there yet, like they or all the way where they were back when this was out on TV in the first place. This most likely will probably come out on NBC Universal's Peacock streaming service because G4 is owned by NBC Universal or Comcast. But I was talking with some other friends about this on Facebook today, and our kind of idea on it is that it possibly could be a mix of some of the old stuff that we know, like, new X Play episodes, Attack of the Show comes back. Maybe not see cheat, of course, anyway, because you're right. There really are no cheat codes or anything in games much anymore. But I think we're going to see a lot of heavy emphasis on esports, though, more than
well,
anything.
yeah, because I was actually gonna say that. It seems like the first major foray into esports being broadcast onto TV was on G4. That's where we saw some of the very first matches be broadcast.
Yeah, I think we saw a couple of them, but I don't think we've really seen like uh, off the top of my head. I'm actually trying to think about this right now. Um,
I know I saw a few tournaments on there. It wasn't like a thing that they did often. It was like they tried it and
yeah,
it didn't really necessarily work.
yeah, and where I come from this too, and this is another part of my discussion as well, like on Facebook, was I grew up with G4, but now I'm also a parent, and the problem that we have with content for kids for anything gaming related is I'm going to give some examples here of a couple of different people, and if they all stream Minecraft, okay, or they all play Minecraft, but their names are unspeakable. Preston, I think his channel's like Preston Plays, and then there's Brianna or whatever her name is. These are three that my younger son watches almost exclusively, and their quality of content is definitely like really pandering to this type of audience, of course, with his age and such anyway too. But these guys are of course in their 20s anyway, and the way they act is nothing like you'll ever see an adult act anyway in the first place. They're doing it of course to get the views and such. They're doing it for the money and the advertising that they get from it anyway too. So I have to talk to him about this, of course, from time to time, saying, you've got to understand this is not how people actually act in real life. They're doing this, of course, as an act. This is not them. Okay. Um, even popular ones too, like Markiplier is the exact same way, is that, he puts on an act being goofy and such, of course, on the camera, but he's a very serious person. He's a very reserved person. You can see it, especially in this large chunk of videos that he has. But because YouTube is still technically the Wild West of content, and even though the COPPA Act exists for protecting kids from advertising and comments and such in videos, it's still kind of the Wild West. And I think G4 did a really good job for us as kids with X-Play, with Cheat, with with Attack of the Show. I know Attack of the Show can be a little raunchy anyway from time to time. With Cinematech, of course, is a big example for me. With all that, it was curated well enough that it's like I could watch that as a kid, and I could learn a lot of stuff, and I could see things that were
Right.
going on, and I could learn about all the games. And I didn't feel out of the loop on stuff, but there's so much on the internet now that I feel that this is actually a good way for, to kind of break some of that YouTube addiction, hopefully, and kind of get back to sort of the way things were. I hate to say that, but that's kind of the case.
Yeah, I don't know. I remember Attack of the Show being my first outlet into console hacking,
Mm-hmm.
actually. That's where I found out about. Well, I had found out about hacking the Dreamcast from a guy here in town, and then they had mentioned it on G4.
Mm-hmm.
And then I found out about hacking my Xbox on Attack of the Show. And yeah, I learned so much tech stuff from Attack of the Show, not just the goofy stuff that they showed off, you
Mm-hmm.
know.
Yeah, I agree with you. We had I'm trying to think of a couple different ones here. We had Chris Gore on Attack of the Show who would come in and talk about movies. He'd give us a review on a movie as well too. Chris Hardwick was of course always on there, who was given was talking a lot of tech as well, though, too. We saw a lot of talk about the iPhone. We saw talk about iPhone hacks as well, too. I think they were one of the first
Kevin
ones.
Rose was one of the first hosts. He had a whole hacking segment on there.
Yeah, I think they were one of
and
the
then
ones to break the news
he
on
was
the
later.
iPhone antenna
Oh,
gate.
go ahead.
I think they were
Oh,
one of the
yeah,
ones
yeah.
with the iPhone 4 where you had to hold it, a special way so you weren't blocking off those little antenna parts and messing with your signal. I think they were one of those. But no, you're right, absolutely, is that there's a lot of good informational stuff there. And, we don't need it to be 24/7. We just need it to be, up until this point, and then you can run your ads in the middle of the night. But I think we need just some good curated content again. And I think that's what they're going to be able to do for us. So I'm excited.
I don't know. It'd be really cool if they got like a partnership with Games Done Quick and, filled time slots with speed runs.
You know what? That would be perfect. That you are, I think, on the absolute 100% right track with that, Kyle. That's exactly
that's where
what
I
they
found
need.
out about. That's where I found out about a bunch of speed runs. Like the first time someone had gotten like a really, really fast time on the standard Mario. That's where I found out about the Half-Life 4545. Yeah, just crazy.
Exactly. So that's it for the G4 stuff. That's it for, all that. All it said, of course, is 2021. Their website has been updated where you can actually play that exact same Pong game that they had going in the, the little TV thing. It's a little goofy stuff in that too, but there's really nothing else going on right now. I'm guessing, of course, over the coming weeks, we're going to hear more because it's G4 and I'm really excited for this to come back. So yay, cool. But of course, I will fully admit, Kyle, G4 will obsolete us again, and no more podcasts, no more streams, or worst case, or actually, no, best case, we are so convincing, maybe they can hire us and we'll be members of the G4 family and make money playing video games and no more of the day jobs.
That would be amazing.
One day, man. Let's move on here into our next story on the list. I know we're going really slow, folks. We'll pick up the speed here a little bit too. But this one comes to us from The Verge. U.S. Army pauses video game streams after accusations of violating free speech. Users were banned for asking about U.S. war crimes. So I'm glad this actually kind of happened here. The U.S. Army has paused streaming video games on Twitch as an outreach and recruitment tool after facing criticism for banning viewers who asked streamers about U.S. war crimes. The pause was first reported by esports consultant Rod Slasher Breslew, who said the Army team was stopping streaming, social activity, and participation in the upcoming Twitch Rivals competition. Breslew said there was no official time frame for a return and that Twitch had not canceled its official partnerships with U.S. Army and Navy esports teams. A spokesman for the U.S. Army confirmed the news to GameSpot. The team has paused streaming to review internal policies and procedures, as well as all platform-specific policies to ensure those participating in the streams are clear before streaming resumes. So, part of the issues, of course, with the streaming anyway on Twitch right now, of course, for the Army is just exactly as it said, is that you've got these guys that are, basically representing the Army as they're streaming, though. You can even see kind of in this little video here that this guy's kind of fully set up to actually play. And, people are asking, of course, about these whole war crime things or anything else, too. There was definitely part of a problem, but not only necessarily people getting banned from that as well, too, or at least silenced in chat. You were also seeing the military use their comments or not necessarily comments. I'm sorry, I'm getting kind of mixed up here. They were using contests as recruiting tools. So you were seeing people actually, you were seeing them actually put up like contests for things, and you were literally filling out a recruitment form. So that's definitely a big no-no. So that's definitely part of the policy stuff that they need to work on right now. And, if the Army comes back, the Army comes back. They're not, it's not like they haven't had, anything else to do with video games. Anyway, hell, they made their own video game, which was literally a training tool. I mean, Kyle, you remember America's Army, right?
Yeah. It actually wasn't all that bad for a little while.
It wasn't. I actually liked playing that. I remember it's like, oh, cool, I can go to a classroom to learn this. And I ended up sitting through like an hour-long lecture on field medics.
Yeah, wasn't that like That came out like our senior year of high school, I think, didn't it? Or
Uh,
a few years
I
after, or
I
something like
played
that.
I played America's Army a couple of years before that because it was one of those ones
Uh,
that came on as well. It was definitely one of those on the list because you think the Army
oh,
Recruiter was
that's
just
right.
next
Yeah, it
door.
came out in like 2000,
Yeah,
maybe. I
but
think.
they've had a couple different
Yeah.
like releases of it, different updates. So, yeah. So they stopped there. Okay, good job, Army. Way to mess things up for yourself there. But oh well, you can't censor me. Let's move on to our next story here. This one is from Engadget, and this is talking about Ubisoft. Ubisoft says it won't raise next gen game prices this year. Oh my gosh, someone doing something to not mess with us gamers? Ubisoft confirmed in his latest earnings call that it won't raise prices on next gen games this fall. As such, the likes of Assassin's Creed Valhalla and Watch Dogs Legion will cost $60 on PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X, the same as the price on current gen platforms. Take Two, on the other hand, has priced the base PS5 and Xbox Series X versions of NBA 2K21 at $70. However, Ubisoft hasn't ruled out a price increase for future games. So they have, at least according to Jason Schreier here from Kotaku, he says Ubisoft wouldn't answer when asked about next gen pricing after this fall. We are concentrating on Christmas releases. We have decided those games will be launched at $60. The company also revealed its next Ubisoft Forward Games showcase will take place in September. First edition took place in June, and it was a big success according to Chief Financial Officer Frederic Duguet, however you want to pronounce his name there. So Ubisoft is at least committing to initially releasing their games at regular prices that they are right now, at least at $60. But that doesn't say anything else about the future anyway, though, because the cost of making games is getting more and more expensive. I mean, what did they say it cost to make Grand Theft Auto 5 when it originally came out? Wasn't it like $100 million, like an actual like movie budget to make it?
I think it was more than that.
Yeah,
It may have been more than that.
I can see cost to make GTA 5. Cost to make was between 137.5 million to 265 million.
So, like I said, more than that.
Holy hell, yeah, no kidding. So,
like double almost.
yeah, and so because of course
If not more.
games, yeah, so because games are getting to be more expensive right now, that's part of the thing for these companies to stay in business anyway, though, is that they're going to need to increase those prices at some point, because not only are you talking the actual development costs anyway, you're talking about all the additional overhead. You're talking about all the development costs, more so specific, like, is this stuff going to be running in the cloud? Where are they saving all their data at? What's it costing for them to upgrade all their hardware, like their computer hardware, to actually develop these games too? So there's a lot that goes
That's
into it than
true,
just
but
paying people salaries.
I think there also has to be a change in the industry that has to show people that we're gonna actually have to have games at a higher cost, whether it be $10 or $20 more. Um, because of these reasons. And I know that we've seen them back in the past, on the Super NES and on the Genesis, more expensive, but we've gone through such a period that the game company has almost standardized that $60 price point, that when companies have tried in recent years, that they've been goaded into having to knock down the price because the game just doesn't sell. No one wants to buy
Mm-hmm.
it.
Yeah,
So it's something that the industry
it makes
also has to
sense.
address as a whole, I think.
I wonder if we're going to start seeing more of a shift towards like the community market type stuff, like we see for skins and crates and sprays and that, like on Steam. I wonder if we're going to see more of like a community market for digital games and that instead, though, too, where people can resell, and then at least even if the price of the
I
game
think
goes down
so.
anyway, it's like, okay, I don't need Doom 2016 in my library anymore. I'm going to sell that one. I get X amount of money back, just like if you trade in a game at GameStop. But then, of course, not only does Steam get their small cut of it, though, too, or Valve get their small cut, but then, of course, in Bethesda get their small cut of it, of course, as well, though, too, to continue the profit circulating around anyway. So then you've got these other games which are still to a point making money, but you're right, the whole industry needs an upheaval and it needs a redo. It needs a good spit shine.
Yeah.
But
And I think what you're kind of talking about is the whole games as a service thing. and
We're getting there.
that's where you skate on that's where you skate on thin ice, and I think that's kind of what uh Xbox is going for. Announcing that all these games that they showed were going to be on Game Pass.
Mm-hmm.
They want you to buy an Xbox to be able to have it as a service item. You're going to pay for a subscription, and then you're going to be able to just download and play the games that they have available.
Mm-hmm. No,
You know,
I agree. Yeah, Game Pass is probably going to end up being the way to go for a lot of these, so that makes
but
sense.
I think that's also, I think we're going to see a big shift where the industry is going to having to start being more like, well, Sony, Nintendo, and Microsoft all are
Mm-hmm.
going to have to be more like Steam and Epic Games Store, and just digitally sell their product, because that not only that, everyone makes more money that way. The publishers make more money, the developers make more money. Um,
Mm-hmm.
it's just a smarter way of business.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. Agreed. That's what we're gonna be. That's why it's gonna be interesting to see like what this Xbox Series X is gonna be like, or Series S, excuse me, is gonna be like too. Is if they're gonna put a lot of that emphasis into the I don't want to say here the games as a service part of it though too. Is that your console is gonna be able to do so much, but to have access to more of it, you need to go this way. So
But it'll also be interesting, just to kind of close this out, to see what happens with 2K, since they have announced that their price point is going to be higher for at least the sports games, or at least for
yep,
NBA. So
one starts,
we'll
everybody
see
else
if
follows.
they get you know if they get goaded back into that $60 price point, or they can actually make sales there.
Mm-hmm.
Only the future will tell.
Yep. Exactly. So let's kind of speed through here on these other ones, Kyle. So we got this one from IGN. Godfall won't have microtransactions. Developers say it isn't a game as a service. Godfall won't feature microtransactions, and the developers aren't considering it as a game as a service title. In a video interview with Arex Gaming, I don't know, Godfall technical producer Richard Heine has asked whether the looter slasher would follow the reactive games as a service model utilized by titles such as Destiny and Tom Clancy's The Division. In response, Heine, I think it's Heine, I don't know, told Arex that there is an experience you can complete, suggesting that the game will feature a finite campaign that players can play through. However, Heine also knows that there is endgame content in Godfall. There's more for the player to explore and revisit once they have completed their ascent of the Skybreaker monolith. We don't consider the game as a service. There are no microtransactions in Godfall, but we're planning that there is plenty of content for the player to dig into once main villain Macros is defeated. Once you completed the campaign, you'll have the ability to go back and to these realms and explore them in new ways to experience new encounters and new challenges. Well, thank you for that one, because I'm getting sick and tired of this where it's like, okay, now I've got like 4 games to support as games as a service, and now it's just getting to be more convoluted. So thank you for
Yeah.
basically closing this one down as a standalone. Here's everything you're going to get with a couple little tweaks here. So I think that's probably good for this game, because I'm kind of worried about this one, especially if this is truly a launch title. So I don't know
Yeah.
really what to immediately think, but part of me is like, I don't know. I'm getting some weird vibes. This is gonna be one of those interesting launch titles where you see 80 cases of it on the GameStop shelves, waiting for somebody to actually buy all the copies at $2 a copy.
Right.
Yeah. So
Or
Kyle,
the suckers like me that go out and buy it day one and have to wait forever for any content to actually show up, or any patches.
that is the right answer, Kyle. So here, why don't you talk to us about some good news, Kyle? Tell us here about this one from Nintendo Life, about a Jet Set Radio, at least spiritual sequel.
Yeah, so one a Jet Set Radio sequel, Bomb Rush Cyberpunk might be your best shot. Uh, Jet Set Radio is a series that deserves better. Sega released the first entry on the Dreamcast 20 years ago. Sorry if the revelation has made you crumble to dust. And while it swiftly followed it up with an Xbox exclusive sequel, the franchise has been dominant or dormant ever since. If you're one of the many people hoping for a new Jet Set Radio entry, then you'll be pleased to learn that Lethal League's developer Team Reptile is crafting the new next best thing, a spiritual successor called Bomb Rush Cyberfunk, in which self-styled crews are equipped with personal boost packs and players can dance, paint, trick, and face off with the cops. As you can see from the trailer, the game really does nail the feel of Jet Set Radio, so much so that some people are fearful that Sega might take notice. That the look is uncanny almost, but Hideki Naganuma, the composer who contributed to Jet Set Radio and Jet Set Radio Future, is also involved, which makes the link to Sega series even stronger. It's only been confirmed for Steam so far, but given that Lethal League has made its way to console and taking into account the theme and the tone of the Bomb Rush Cyberfunk, we'd be willing to wager quite heavy that the Switch will release or Switch release will happen in the fullness of time, assuming Dr. Sirkin Toto's rather dire prediction doesn't come to pass, of course.
Yay, let's bring this game to us now.
Yeah.
It's such a fun game. I miss Jet Set Radio. I can't remember. It had to be original Xbox the last time I played any of it. I don't think
I barely played Future. I think I beat Future once, but the original one I probably played so many times. I know I wore through one disc. I had to rebuy the game. And I had all the unlocks, of course. I played that game such a stupid amount.
I think I can't remember exactly how far I got, but I think for me it wasn't even completing mission stuff and that. I think it was just skating around or even just listening to the music in general. That was, oh man, that was some good shit right there, especially as a kid.
Well, it's great because that's one that I even brought up when we talked about the soundtracks. So kind of cool that it's coming back up in the news.
Yep. So, all right, let's go ahead and jump into the next one here. Kyle, talk to us about the next Call of Duty here game. It looks like we're hearing about some new stuff from at least IGN at least says they've heard some new stuff.
Call of Duty 2020 data miners reportedly find campaign zombies and Warzone details. Data miners have unearthed a number of interesting potential details about Call of Duty 2020, including notes about zombies, Warzone campaign, and multiplayer maps. Twitter user Prototype Warehouse unearthed a set of tags within the game files which appear to have been pulled from the Red Door, an alleged alpha of this year's Call of Duty, which appeared on Microsoft Store earlier this week. Some users have reported being able to download the Red Door, saying that it's the title Call of Duty Black Ops CIA when downloaded. The phrases posted to Twitter yesterday seem to pertain to different modes within the game. The embedded tweet below supposedly contains strings tied to the game's single-player campaign, with the title like Nam Armada, Nam Prisoner, and Russ KGB. Suggested parts of the story will take place in Vietnam and Russia. A leak reported on back in May suggested this year's Call of Duty game will be called Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. Wow, excuse me for stumbling over that. And will return to the historical setting of the namesake franchise.
Okay.
And then, of course, it is followed by what seems to be a map list. I don't know if it would be a single player campaign map list or if that's going to be your multiplayer campaign list. I assume that, especially with a side mission, it is going to be your single player campaign mission list that
Most
you're
likely.
looking at right there. So tags for multiplayer maps such as Moscow, Satellite, and Tank were also found with Eurogamer, noting that earlier in the year, one of the COD 2020 gameplay leaks featured a map called Tank. Data miners also found Warzone references such as Duga and ski slopes, and a long tag which supposedly tied to the game zombie mode silver. It's not clear how any of the ties together in practice for now, but evidence is building the coming alleged makeup of 2020's Call of Duty game. Some expect the game to be officially revealed at this week's Xbox Game Showcase, which obviously didn't happen.
Mm-mm.
Um, so there's no speculation to remain there.
It's a Call of Duty game, and honestly, because of the success of them remaking Modern Warfare, for them to remake Black Ops and release it, I know that was definitely very popular. It makes sense. That actually seems like that's the next logical progression for them, and then Warzone gets a nice upgrade to have an additional map other than Verdansk.
I wish we had the
So
image of the red door because it is kind of cool. I've seen it on the dashboard. Someone had the image of Call of Duty or of the red door, and then when they boot it up, it it almost looks like a cross between Call of Duty Black Ops and Call of Duty Ghost for the main back screen or for the main screen that loads up. And then once you load it, or once they hit A, either it freezes or they're able to see those modes. So
interesting. Yeah, and I'm looking at a couple pictures of these just right now. I'm not showing them on the stream or anything right now, but interesting. I don't know. That's very
so
curious.
it'll be kind of cool. I don't know. I wasn't nearly as much of a fan of the Black Ops series games as the mainline. I don't know about you.
Mm-hmm. So Black Ops wasn't really one that sucked me in, because at the same time, I can't remember if it was Black Ops 1 or 2 at that time it dropped. Reach also had dropped as well. Or Halo Reach had dropped, excuse me. I guess better to actually say which one it was. But that dropped at the same time, and of course I was really big into Halo. I loved my Call of Duty, but I was still really big into Modern Warfare. So I didn't actually pick up Black Ops, and it was one I didn't really figure I was going to like playing. And then that's when Call of Duty got even weirder about more of the futuristic warfare stuff. So I was like,
Yeah.
I don't really care.
See, and I think that the same thing happened with me because I remember during the time of Reach, I played the crap out of the demo for Reach because for pre-ordering, you got that demo of the one level that I think it was actually a timed thing. And I was so pumped that I just waited and waited, didn't bother with Call of Duty. And I didn't even play Black Ops for like 4 years after, I think, or until like 4 years after.
Okay.
But I don't know. I didn't care for the stories. I was in the Call of Duty for the more realism of the shooter, you know?
That was my thing for it, too. That was my thing.
But it's cool that they are bringing back Warzone if it is to be suggested in the data mine. Hopefully we'll see some of what the actual multiplayer in the current Call of Duty looks like. But we'll see.
Yeah. So we've been running our news stream here for almost an hour and a half now, Kyle. I'm thinking maybe we skip over a couple of these stories here and make this last one here, this one from Push Square. What do you think?
Which one are we looking at?
This is the second to last one on the list.
Well, just a touch on that. We don't have to touch on the final one, but I think we should touch on this really cool one. Just as a quick brief mention, I did want to say an indie developer turned Bloodborne into a 2D Zelda game. It's called Yardtown. It's available to download for free. The developer's name is Mark Mraz. And like I said, it's a free download, but it's really cool that someone went into such detail with such a really cool game. If you get the time, check it out. I've got it downloaded. I haven't had a chance yet. But that being said, let's go ahead and hop into that last article, man.
Okay, cool. Go ahead, Kyle. Finish us out here. Tell us about Sony giving everybody free money.
Yeah. So Sony's sending free PS Store credit to PS Plus members. Who doesn't love free money? Reports are coming in around the world of Sony sending out free PlayStation Store credit to PlayStation Plus members. It's unclear what the requirements to be eligible for the promotion, aside from being actively subscribed to the Japanese Giants member scheme, of course, but it looks like the currency is being handed out right now around the globe. In the UK, you'll score a reasonable 10 euros of
That's
PlayStation Store
£10.
credit.
That's £10.
Oh, is that £10?
Yeah, it's in the UK. It's
My
pounds.
bad. Oh, yep, I see. My bad. There is the euro
Shame.
underneath it. Shame on me. In the US, it's $10. For those in the continental Europe, it will be you'll be eligible for 10 euros.
There you go.
If you've been selected, you'll receive a notification on your PlayStation Store alerting you that the cash has been added to your PlayStation Store wallet. If you're eligible, you'll be notified with a similar message that, or to one embedded at the top of the article. You can find any correspondence from Sony by browsing to the notification section on the PlayStation 4 dashboard and then hitting the option button. Select from the PlayStation toggle, and you should find from new message from the Japanese Giant if you've been selected. This is all nearly coincidence with the Japanese or with the company's summer sale, which has dunked the price of dozens of titles. You can find out more about that through the link through the article. We can go ahead and throw that up, I suppose, when we post this. But yeah, it's about. I guess it seems that this is for the 10th anniversary um, of PlayStation Network. Is that right?
No.
I could have sworn it had been longer than that. That's what people are saying, but
Let's see. Oh no, that's actually. Let's see.
maybe it's PlayStation Store. That doesn't make any sense. At any rate, it's worth checking out your account if you have gotten any free credit.
No, there's no
Of
rhyme or
course,
reason there because it launched in 2006.
yeah, that's really bizarre. And this article was actually just posted today. So
So if it's one of those things, it's probably one of those like staged rollout things then too, that if they're going to start sending money to people, then in reality, it's going to probably take just a little bit for it to propagate to everybody. So anybody that has an active PlayStation Plus account, oh no, so it's not okay. So it's 10 years of PlayStation Plus is really what it is. It's right there in the article. So it's because they've had PlayStation Network, but the PlayStation Plus stuff has been going on since 2010. So, it was their next step up in the multiplayer side where you weren't cut off from, being able to play multiplayer like you were with Xbox, where you have to pay for live to do online. You could still do online stuff, but Plus took it another level with some additional benefits. That's all.
Gotcha.
See, you're messing with me. I'm like looking at the article here, and it's
totally skipped over it.
Yep, punk. But that's all right. But yeah, it's we've definitely gone on here a little longer, and definitely don't want to go crazy. But I think the big announcement of like with the Xbox stuff was definitely kind of key to talk about though too, and what was shown off. And Kyle, of course, is frustrated. Preston's kind of on it. I'm still gonna pick up an Xbox Series X, I think, launch day because most of our stuff is within the Xbox environment anyway here in my house, outside, of course, of the PC gaming. But my plan, at least, of course, on my side, is the digital version of the PlayStation 5. That's the big one for me.
And I know I'm probably jumping to conclusions. It's still just the next day for me. I have yet to see what they'll announce in August, because they do have that in August showcase coming up.
Mm-hmm.
So depending on what they say, I might have already flopped back to Xbox anyway.
Of course,
and
you have.
It might, it might just solidify that, or maybe I'll be at the point where I'll just be like, screw it, I'm picking up both day one anyway.
You know that meme from what was it, The Notebook, where Ryan Gosling is questioning whatever that other actress's name. It's like, what do you want? It's not that simple. It's not that. That's how I'm feeling right now with you guys and your console decisions. But killing me here.
It really isn't that simple.
That's true. Especially it's potentially $600. Yeah, it's not that simple. I agree. I'm 100% there with you, dude. $600 is definitely not something to argue.
Well,
against.
And it's not just looking at $600. It's looking at the possible potential of $1,200. That's where it starts to get like, ooh,
Oh yeah, spend it for both consoles. Yeah, that's why I'm hoping the all digital version of the PlayStation 5 is definitely a little bit easier on the pocketbook. But that's just me. But I think that was everything there in the news. Kyle, I can't think really much else. I know we skipped over that one other story we had there too, but we're just eating up time, man.
Yeah, and it wasn't anything important.
Okay. Well, everybody,
if you wanted me to throw it out there, Ghost of Tsushima. They didn't throw a lock out on system in it. Just this is what the developer said, to make it so you could move faster looking at the enemies. So there you go, people.
Well, all right then. TLDR. Look at enemies better. All right. So, everybody, with that said, thank you so much for tuning in for this week's weekly news, gaming news roundup. Of course, you can check us out with our podcast. We release every Tuesday, Thursday. Homepage for that is anchor.fm/the-npcs-podcast. Our most recent topic episode, of course, was top Overwatch characters. If you really want to be mad at us and, definitely throw some salt our way, go listen to that episode. You can find us on a bunch of other podcast platforms too, like TuneIn Radio, iHeart, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts. We're everywhere. You can get us there. Make sure to follow us here on Facebook. If you're not already, make sure to follow us on YouTube as well. If you're not already there, at least subscribe. We're always there. And we did just get a recent episode from Preston put up doing a once-over of Ghost of Tsushima. So if you want to actually see the lack of a enemy lock on, that's going to be the video to go check out, because I guarantee for a fact it's not there. So thanks everybody for tuning in to this week's news roundup. We're going to catch you all, guys. I'm very tired. We'll catch you all next week.